I guess to summarise this, Garvan Allen is doing a SEAL Fit 50-hour selection course in October this year, and he has sought us out at Last Round so that we can help prepare him for it, given the unique nature of the type of training that he's about to undertake. There's a particular type of stimulus that he needs to be inoculated to in order to be successful and do the best that he can, going all the way over to California to participate in this. I'm sure he doesn't want to be wasting his time or his money and having to pull out early. Yeah. So we're just going to give him the best preparation that we can. Bearing in mind that everything that we do with him from the start to the finish, it really doesn't bear any semblance to what we would do with a normal client if we were trying to progress them in any other type of physical activity. More of this is about, Garvan is already quite fit, and more of this is about not so much the physical preparation side of it, but the, I guess, mental preparation or the mental inoculation process that will hopefully get him familiar with the environment that he's going to enter. And so when you see what we do with Garvan, we're not trying to get a better performance result in the traditional sense of how you would increase a physical performance, but rather we're actually testing him the entire time and hopefully getting him used to the type of thing that he'll need to be used to when he goes over to do this self-fit. So,
what did you think of him when you met him? Because I only met him briefly and he seemed alright. Like, I guess, do you try and get any sort of insight as to who he is getting into pre-exercise?
Look, essentially the initial impression, when he made contact with me, I obviously looked him up on social media and had a little bit of a chat on the phone, and turns out that Garvan's father and myself used to work together in the police years ago, cool. So we had a little connection there. I could tell he was a pretty driven fella by some of the things that he'd posted on social media, and he was a keen trainer, and they're all very, that's a good start. That's a good place to start from, because he's obviously got discipline and he's obviously a physical guy, so he's probably going to be physically capable of completing what we're asking him to do, but then it's a matter of how he performs under the duress that we're going to put him under. So I don't really have a formula per se or something that I look for immediately and go, hey, this guy's going to be really good at this or he's not, because I've been surprised on a number of occasions. It's really a matter of putting them in that position and see how they react when they get there. It's very hard to cast judgment on them initially. There are some that you would perhaps say that aren't going to be well suited, but as far as picking someone that is well suited, well, that's could be a whole a whole process just there. So yeah, I thought he was disciplined, he was dedicated, and he was obviously pretty focused and driven, which was a good start, and then we'll see how he went from there.
All right, so let's meet Garvan. Here we go. We're going to press play and we're going to basically talk over the whole video. So
all right, cool.
Yeah, what's your name? Garvan.
My name's Garvan.
Garvan, and how old are you?
I'm 29 years old this year.
29 years old, and what are you doing here?
So basically, I've got an event over in the United States.
So he's a local boy, I think.
Yep.
Yeah.
A company called SEAL
North
Fit,
Richmond, I think.
Navy SEALs, and it's a training course. So basically designed this run over a straight 50 hours.
Okay.
And I've come to Matt today for some ongoing.
And so yeah, I think he's going through.
Cool. How do you know Matt?
Actually,
he's going through SEAL Fit, I think, and he's choosing. Is it Karora? Was he looking at Karora SEAL Fit?
I think that's what it is. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
So what are you doing today? Do you know yet?
So I've seen the trailer. It's pretty brutal. Like they have stuff where it's like, they have them lying on a beach and then they get like
cool.
the waves and stuff
then, and then let's hit it.
Sort of. What do you call it? Waterboarding? Is it waterboarding?
Yeah, I don't know that it's quite waterboarding, but it's certainly an uncomfortable thing by the looks of things. They're long. A lot of the things with those types of tasks, it's duration that gets you. There's accumulative fatigue over long periods of time, and more to the point that you generally, and I'm not entirely sure about this course specifically, but generally on these types of courses, you're not given a time frame for a lot of activities. So it's the unknown.
Unrealistic.
Well, it's not only unrealistic timeframes, it's one thing, but the unknown nature of how long you're going to be performing a particular task for. So it's very difficult to pace yourself or to try and pace yourself for an activity that you don't know where the finish line is. You know,
Yeah.
how long am I going to do this? Is it 10 minutes? Is it 10 hours? You don't know, and that creates another layer of pressure.
Yeah. So he's just done 3 run laps, and now you started getting him going with is it like a 10, 12 kilo bar?
Yeah, it's around about that. So we've got around about a 12 kilo weight vest on him, which doesn't sound very heavy, but it adds up very quickly, the cumulative fatigue there. And traditionally what I've found to be useful is we get a little bit of a warm-up done, and then beyond that I'll put them into a position that I know is unsustainable. So holding a bar out at 90 degrees, 10 kilo bar, it's inevitable that it's going to fail at some point. And then once that fails, we can start to apply a bit of pressure.
And so I think this is the first time he dropped it below 90. So
Yes, he did quite well actually. I think he lasted a lap and a half, I think, nearly before it went down, which is actually pretty good, or a couple of laps. So
obviously he's got the penalties here as well. So he's got, was it 10 did you start at?
started at 10 and 10, and what I like to do is when we've got a bar out at 90 degrees like that, we find that the localised fatigue in the shoulders accumulates very quickly, and as soon as that drops below 90 degrees, which is inevitable, it's going to happen at some point, then we can apply a bit more pressure by doing more push-ups, which fatigue the shoulders even further, and soon enough 10 becomes almost impossible.
And I think was that like a
I'm
half
not
a lap
hearing
later,
anything,
this
Mr.
one?
Allen.
Like it
Why
just
is
went
that?
out the window, eh?
You are. Well, you better demonstrate to me that you're well prepared by following the
And so what will happen is
instructions.
in regards to the verbal
Bring it up. Do not
tirade
have
that he cops on a regular basis,
Examine your level
try not to
of
get
preparation.
too personal as
Great.
far as yelling and screaming, and rather we'll try and structure some comments that really undermine his own self-confidence and perhaps get him to doubt himself, which is what they'll try and do. So they'll pick something. They may not need to really swear at him very much or anything, but basically it'll just be that
Are you
constant
clever
in the
enough
back
to
of your
understand
mind,
the instruction?
So here we can see he's probably up to about his 3rd set.
You are.
So his shoulders are shot. He's up to about his 3rd set of push-ups, and me being in his ear is not helping.
Yeah, it's already got out the window.
Yeah.
You're not. So you're clever enough to follow the instruction. You're not deliberately disobeying it. So you are ill-prepared.
And when you say that thing about personal, like at the start you weren't very personal, but like then you start
You're not.
later on you started
Clearly you are,
getting into
because
some
we've been
stuff
going
like
for 4 minutes.
profiling and stuff like
Already
that.
stopping.
Obviously we'll get to that, but
How is that?
do you like
4
wind up?
minutes.
Yeah, I try
Hurry it up.
I try and gauge it so that I've got some room to move on it. So you don't throw the whole
wanna
kitchen
quit?
sink at them straight away.
4 minutes
Let
in. You
them,
want to stop?
let them undermine their own confidence a little bit.
Yeah.
So I've given them fairly achievable tasks to start with,
Yeah.
but
It's all well and good to say yes, sir, but how about picking up your game and
So
getting
you
up
mentioned the
to
squad there
rest of
because
the
he's
squad?
training for he'll be with a
Yeah.
bunch
No
of
one
people when
likes
he trains
dead
at
wood, Alan.
So you're trying to
Yeah.
create
Right
the
now,
environment.
you are
so
dead
yeah,
wood.
I was trying to simulate, that there's more members there than himself,
We are
because
not even 5
quite-
minutes in. 4 minutes.
quite often,
Just crack 5.
you'll see that other
you
people
prepare
are
for
obviously
this
further in
course?
front of
Did
you in
you?
the group, and you might be
Yes, sir.
dragging behind, and then that creates additional pressure.
Yeah.
Because you're either, feel like you're letting other people down, or you're
Unbelievable.
potentially, struggling comparatively to the rest
Get
of the group,
moving, Alan.
and then that creates
do not have
some
all
doubt in
fucking
your mind
day.
as well. And here we keep reiterating the time. You'll hear me go back to the time a lot, and that's just to say that you got 50 hours of this, and in a few minutes in, we're already looking to things are getting tough.
You got a lot of
So
donuts?
here we see him really starting to struggle on those push-ups, and we're probably only up to
Yeah.
maybe 4 sets of 10. I might have amped up to 20 on this one, I'm not sure.
Get it done, Alan.
Yeah, this is rough. When I started filming it, I was like,
and get your push-ups done.
I thought it wasn't going to be
How
this
many
intense
push-ups
this quick.
did you do in preparation
But
for
like,
this?
I think,
Fucking 3?
yeah, 7 minutes, around 7 minutes 30, I thought he was going to call it. Like, it was that quick.
It's not a
Yeah,
fucking
he's
holiday
looking pretty
camp, Alan.
fatigued right
Get it
here.
moving. You're here to waste my time. It would
And obviously
appear
you're not pulling him
so.
out on those like downward dog positions because you're like, he's just still
Unbelievable.
doing
6
it.
minutes,
But
40 seconds,
yeah.
and we are quitting already.
Not quitting, sir.
You're not quitting.
No.
So what? So you're just laying there making noises for the fun of it.
How do you not laugh
It's not
sometimes?
quitting. This is exercising, right?
He's trying to
Practice.
get in the zone, yeah.
Yeah.
It's 20 push-ups.
Because like I'm
God's
laughing now
sake,
watching back, but
20.
when I was watching, I was like, oh jeez, this is
How about
fun.
this? Give me 3 good
Yeah,
ones. Just
a
3.
lot of things that'll bring people
Can you
unstuck.
do
So
that?
here I'm asking for 3
Just
push-ups,
one.
which this is a guy who fresh would
2
probably
more.
knock you out pretty close to 100, I reckon.
Give me 1
unbroken.
more.
But
Go, Garvin, come on.
Hurry
it's
it
not a
up.
matter of how fit you are at this point. It's a matter of, how much do you want it? Because obviously you're fatigued moving quicker than this. You've got to really start to dig
Oh my God.
Yeah,
and continue from here.
this is a starting
I have
point.
yet to see someone quit within 10 minutes. 7 minutes, 30 fucking seconds of a 50-hour course.
Again, we're
Have I got
playing on
your
the
attention
psychology
yet,
of it,
Mr.
that
Allen?
it's going to be a long time and we're already in a lot of trouble. So how are we going to keep this up?
Perhaps.
Yeah.
The main thing that he's going to have to
Attention.
consider is
You'll
that
actually listen
there's going to be other
to
people
the
in the group.
instructions.
So that
They are
his
clear.
exposure here is actually probably
Do you understand English,
more
Mr.
so
Allen?
than what he would get on the course.
Do you
Simply
understand
because
my
unless they've got a
instructions?
one-to-one instructor
And you
to,
prepared
or
adequately for this
staff
course?
to student ratio,
Yes, sir.
they're not going to be able
Did?
to apply
Yes.
this much
All
pressure.
right, so it
Yeah.
should be pretty simple. I want you to hold that pole out at 90 degrees.
So we know
You're
here
going
that
around
there
the
is no
track
chance he's going to
until
hold
you
this
get
out
in
for
the
more than
orange.
a very short
That
space of
way.
time.
You
Yeah.
understand?
So we're going to get more penalties in a
Get it
second.
out at
And we know
90.
that.
You know what 90 looks like?
And at this point, do you know
Hold it
that? Do you change up the exercise here when he drops
90
it?
degrees.
So there gets to a point where we're getting sort of.
Allen, well done.
You've got to realise
Just
that
leaning back, like trying to.
Which part of 90 degrees do we not understand? Giving up?
So-
Is that what it is?
So we're trying to basically test the limits of his perseverance here to some extent.
Get it up.
And the problem
90
is
degrees.
if you give him a completely unrealistic target, like if I was to say you've got to run 10 laps with that pole at 90 degrees,
Yeah.
So close.
he'll know
But
that
guess what?
that's
you
not
gave
achievable.
up.
So mentally,
Why
even
did you give
despite his
up?
physical efforts,
Keep going.
he's going to
You
quit.
gave
You know,
up.
like he'll put it up,
Pole
or put it
was
down,
not
put
at
it up,
90
or put it down, and
degrees.
it'll become,
Simple
it'll
instructions.
become something that just
9
goes
minutes,
through in
17 seconds.
kind of a very lethargic
That's what we
pace,
have
if you
when
like.
we are
Whereas this,
ended
you know,
up
you give him
in
little
this
bite-sized
condition here.
pieces with the expectation that he's going to try as
What
hard
does
as
that
he can.
say about
Yeah.
And
preparation?
then you're just pulling it
Would
away
you
from him every
consider
time. Just
your
that little bit.
preparation
No,
has
you're not
been
getting- you can't
adequate
quite get there, you
up
can't
to this
quite get there.
point?
And that again undermines
Would you
your
consider it
confidence
has
because you
been?
constantly just fail. on
It's
that
a
little
simple
bit.
question.
And so you've been on both
you
sides,
have it? Am I
right? 'Cause you've
speaking
you've
English?
been the guy.
Yeah,
you've
yeah,
been
I've
the
been,
trainer.
yeah,
You are
yeah,
prepared.
So can you like
Yes.
touch on that a little bit?
Prepared to
Let's
do
talk about
what?
history like pretty quickly.
Whatever it
Well,
takes,
so,
we will find out.
you know,
I
I
am
was
less than
with the
impressed
police
us,
for
but where
quite a
I
few
am
years,
is, would
and
you like
during the
to
course of
do
that,
push-ups on
I
your
was
knees, Mr. Allen.
lucky or unlucky enough to
Stop messing
go through a
around
selection course
and
with
get them
the
done. I'm sure
State
you did
Protection
more than
Group, so
20
the
minutes
Tactical
in
Operations Unit,
preparation
which is like the
for
SWAT team
this.
for
Well, actually, I'm
the
not
New South
sure,
Wales cops.
because at just
And they run
10
a
minutes
7-day
in, we're
selection
on our
course
knees already.
before, after a bunch of barrier
We
testing and a
have
bunch of other
49
tests.
hours
And they have
and
a
50
quite a
minutes
high
left,
failure rate
and
in
we
that
are on
particular
our
program.
knees.
So
No, we're not. Good, we're
and
back
then
on
a
our
lengthy,
toes. Well, now that you
train
feel
rotation after
comfortable
that,
enough
in which
and you've
case
had
people
a
can
bit
get
of a
cut all the
break
way along.
in your
So,
leisure
you know,
time,
you might start
now
with
it's
somewhere in
time
the
to
vicinity
get
of
to
anywhere
work.
between 70 and 100 applicants.
You cannot
and then over the
choose
course
when
of
you
the
work.
subsequent
You work
testing,
when the
they'll
clock
take about the top
starts,
35
and
on
in
selection.
49
After that, they'll
hours
take, depending on the
50
group,
minutes,
sometimes they take
you'll
one,
be able to
sometimes
stop.
they take 15,
Yeah.
20,
right
depending
now, you're
on
on my
how good
time.
the people
So
are
don't
at the
waste
other
it.
end. And then they run through a
How
training
many left?
rotation after that for the next 12 or 18 months. And then you generally end up
You're
with
not
obviously
sure.
less than that. So
Excellent.
by the time
You
you've
cannot count to
finished,
20.
you've probably got about a 90%,
Outstanding.
80 to 90%
Don't fucking
failure
be
rate, I
sorry.
suppose.
Just
So-
get the job done.
Yeah,
Get on
yeah,
your
yeah.
back. Get
Yeah,
your sit-ups
I
knocked over.
passed
Hurry it up.
relatively well.
Yeah.
So,
My God, this is going to be a long course.
yeah, it was on. I've been here doing this.
Why is the rest of
Yeah.
your
Doing stuff.
team
And what sort of like
finished,
maybe like what
standing
was some
there
intense stuff that
waiting
they had
on
to do
you?
in that one?
Why is
Oh,
that?
look, they do a bunch of
Were
different
they more
activities that are very
adequately
similar. You know,
prepared than you
doing.
were?
I don't want to give too much away actually right now, just because
Oh, okay.
we've got some
Sitting
more
already.
training for the
Lie
boys, and
down.
I don't want
No.
to.
Are we
okay.
lying
Look-
down?
Look for
No,
following
yeah.
series, and
Yeah.
you'll see what I'm
We'll
talking
Say
about.
it for you,
You
boys.
wanna lay down?
Yeah,
No,
say it
100%.
for you.
You
I
don't
give
want to
too
lay
much
down.
away here.
Well, then
But,
get up.
yeah,
Get up.
essentially, you know, it's long
You want
courses
everyone else to
with
suffer
no
for you.
designated
You are
playing
lying on your
periods,
back. No, sir. Oh, you
no
don't.
ability
Well, you
really to
better
pace
show 'em
yourself
something,
because you don't know
because
how
right
long you're
now
going to be doing
they
anything for.
think
Yeah.
that you've
And
come
then
here to
You've
waste
got
my
the
time and to
psychological
waste
impact
their
of being
time.
somewhere in the group. So
Yeah, yeah.
whether you're at the back or at the
A
front.
long
Yeah.
flight
And
from
irrespective
Australia
of your fitness level, if,
all the way
if
over to partake in a program
the goal
in
with a lot of
outside
these
the world
courses is
that you are not
to
gonna last 12
get
minutes
people
in.
down to, I guess, their
12
you know,
minutes.
determine what their real
Hurry it up.
character traits are.
Yeah.
So people can often pretend to
How
be a
many is
particular
that?
way
I don't
for a
know,
particular period of time.
Oh,
so
once
a
again,
day or
we
so, or
cannot
2
count.
days even.
This just gets
You can
better
really act
and
how
better.
someone wants you to be.
Stand
you know,
up,
so you
Mr.
can
Allen.
have this persona that may not be represent what you know, what you truly
Obviously,
are.
you cannot follow
Whereas
instructions. Keep
once
that
you get
pole
into
nine
a
degrees.
environment like
So,
this, where we've got
We
you
can keep the
for
pole directly above our
5-7
head.
days,
Should be easier for
and
you. And I
you know,
want a
potentially
complete
exercising for something in the
If
vicinity of
that
20 hours or
drops,
more a day,
We are
depending on
going to
what, you know,
leopard
what it looks
crawl
like.
another complete
That really
hour
does
and a half.
cause people
Do you
to
understand?
be
Is there
unable
any
to
confusion
sustain
about the
facade
task
for
at
that period of
hand?
time.
No, sir.
Yeah.
And so there'll
Right.
be certain character
Get it
traits
done.
that
Move.
are
Lock
beneficial
that out.
for the
If
type of
that
work
comes
that you need to
down,
do, and there are
you're
certain
on your
ones that are
guts
detrimental.
for another
And so
100.
this
Got
process
it?
really just
Did I say
allows people
fucking walk?
it allows the staff to get a look at what the
God,
person's
did you prepare for
true
this
character is.
adequately?
Yeah.
You know, how badly I guess they want to do the work, you know, how badly do they want to do the job, and what are they prepared to go through in order to make that happen. It says a lot about their perseverance, it says a lot about their preparation, about their mental toughness and adaptability and teamwork and leadership and decision making and a whole bunch of other qualities that really get tested in situations like this. And albeit
Hold
very
down,
physical,
walk it in.
it doesn't. What a lot of the instructors will try and do is break it down to an even playing field by physically breaking everyone down. So this one here
15
is
seconds.
this one here is a little
You're
bit
a
of a
copper,
memory.
Mr. Allen. You should be
a
able
memory drill.
to pay attention to
So
detail. Am I right? Yes, sir.
We've given
Good.
him 30
We will
seconds
find
to
out.
observe 10 items that
5
are on the box
seconds.
there, and obviously he's fairly fatigued coming in. And this
Outside.
is done in a fairly short time frame. Like this whole session, I think went for less than an hour. It's 45 minutes.
So there isn't much there.
There's
but
like 10 items.
It's still fairly detailed, like it's well, a couple of different colours going on there.
Yeah.
A sort of remote that you don't really know what it is, but you just know it's a remote to something. You know what I mean?
Yes. Yeah. So wasn't too concerned about the actual details on the items. If he had have got the whole 10 right, then I would have ramped it up another notch and asked him for like the brand of the deodorant that was sitting on the box or something like that.
Yeah.
But in this situation at the
Hold
moment,
down.
he's pretty fatigued.
Right.
We get him in there. He's thinking about He's thinking about just breathing at that point. We get him in to remember these things. He's got a really short time frame to do it, and then we get him back outside straight away. And then later we'll go back and ask him what those were. So
And so he's probably like trying to breathe, but at the same time, because you've just given him that task, he's probably fresh like, oh, da 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 da, and then breathe.
You are in a
breathe. And
position
then when he has a break
where
in
you
consciousness,
need to
maybe he's going, oh, what are those things
evacuate
again? And then
Yeah.
slowly he'll just
yeah,
forget them
so
because he'll be just too focused on.
and this is you got to bear in mind that in a proper selection courses, these types of activities might be done hours or days apart.
Yeah, yeah.
Not within the proximity of 45 minutes. It's too fresh. But we are short on time, so
without getting your ass
that's
shot
one of
off.
the things. So this one here, we really play on the idea that physically it's testing because the bag's relatively heavy. It really shouldn't be heavy for him, but he's fatigued
Is that fucking
and he's got
ground to you?
he's got weight here.
I
So
like this because you were like, you have to do this, you have to do this, and he seemed like he understood. Then he starts dragging it backwards.
Yeah.
And you're like, no,
We're
no,
getting closer
low.
to low.
low is low.
Now
Yeah,
we are
that's
low.
it.
So
Get it
these
done. You mate.
types of activities too, we've got a time we've put a
It's
time
now
pressure on him,
17 minutes.
Yeah.
and
Your
we've
mate
put the notion that he's actually got to, he's trying to do this to, you know, potentially look after one of his teammates.
Yeah.
And that obviously puts additional pressure on him.
Yes, sir.
And then
Right,
so what we
let's
start
get
to
it
do
done
is
then.
we then start to,
Only one way to find out.
you know, put
7
pressure on
minutes.
him verbally,
You don't make it there
basically
in
looking at the
7
time
minutes.
frame,
Leave
going,
fucking
shit,
die.
this is the time pressure,
Red shit
this
coming
is
out of his head.
the consequence
See it.
of not getting it
Bleeding.
done,
Yeah.
and basically your
Get
own
it done.
fatigue is
Are
the
you
only
a
thing
team
stopping you
player,
from
Mr.
getting it
Allen?
done.
Yeah.
You're a team
What do you think of his
player.
form here? Because like obviously
care
form
about
goes out the
mates?
window, but do you think he's doing it the easiest, most effective way?
Oh, look, you know, it's going to depend on what's hurting the most.
Yeah.
Really, you know, so we
Hence
could,
why you've got overalls on him because you know you don't want to be getting scuffs and stuff. When you're
Yeah.
like, you know,
well, the main
Flying
reason I
around.
want that is that if he's got ongoing training to do, I don't need him thinking about pulling skin off his knees and elbows and slowing down the rest of his training program. And what he'll learn to do is if they make him do activities like this, he'll know that there's certain areas that really he's going to wear skin off, and he can prepare then down the track. He might elastoplast up or bandage up those areas in advance.
yeah, because he gets like he sees where it goes. Like,
Yeah,
starts
same with wearing
stuff.
boots in or doing pack marching or something like that, and you end up with abrasions and rubbing spots at the same point
Your
over
boots
and
shit or
over
something,
again.
Yeah.
So you'll start to preemptively go, well, if I take that up, I know that's not going to be a problem for me. But if the first time you do it is on the course, you're going to be in trouble.
And do they allow you to do that sort of stuff? Like tape
Yeah,
up
you
stuff to
tape
shit?
up, yeah. Well, that's just good preparation. You know?
Okay, yeah.
So I knew before I got on my course, for instance, where, you know, when I was leopard crawling, I knew which bits were going to be upsetting, you know, upsetting the apple cart. You know, I was pack marching. If there was a particular part of my back that was getting annoyed, then I'd deal with that. Or if I had a weakness in a particular joint, I could preemptively take that so that it wouldn't become an issue.
Yeah.
So it's all about just preparing as best you can. Because unlike a lot of training, there's no opportunity for recovery. And this is the bit that gets you. It's quite often guys will lose out for simple abrasions and things like that cause them ongoing problems, you know, foot problems and things of that nature. It's not the fact that they're physically incapable of doing it. It's just that they haven't paid attention to the details in preparation, or they've never done it. And so something that should be a small bother ends up as a big bother and ends up leading to an injury or stopping them. So this one here, it seemed like a fairly realistic time frame to start with, and reasonably generous, 7 minutes. But then as we see here, you know, we're probably 3 minutes in already, and we've barely moved.
Yeah, I just
for a
set the
short
camera
distance.
down. I was like, I'm not going to bother walking. I'm just sit down and just sort of. It'll be a funny sort of time thing if you just sped it up.
So here I try and get into his psyche a little bit.
Medically discharge you and told you that's it, you're off.
I thought you might say something about his cross at one point there.
No,
Do
just
you ever touch on that sort of religion?
no, not generally, unless it becomes,
Wouldn't let me continue.
unless they raise it. Really?
He had it in his mouth at one point. I was wondering if that was because he was just keeping it away from his face, or if he was just
I don't know. I don't really.
you don't take any stuff like that.
So this one here,
They're going to go, Mr. Allen, what a hard man he was. He went over and did 50 hours with
so
these
what
guys.
we try and do here is
medical stuff,
the
those
idea
bastards
is
dragged
that
him off. What do you think?
he can get away with saying whatever he likes when he gets home, because half of the issue is when guys train for these types of activities, they obviously tell their families, tell their friends,
Not me.
tell their loved ones, and it's such a long build-up process, you know, so it could be
Fucking
months.
around with this thing and get
And
it moving because
they're
he's dying here.
Psychologically, they
21
don't
minutes
want to
we've
quit
been going
because they
for.
feel
We've been
that
pulling
their
that
ego
back
will be
for nearly
damaged in
4.5
returning and telling
minutes,
people that
and we
I
have
couldn't do
gone
it.
not
And
even
so
40 fucking
if we can
meters.
alleviate that and give them an
That's a
opportunity
great
to quit
average fucking rate.
by just saying, hey,
10
look, you
metres
can say
every
what you
minute.
want. Nobody's going to know
Yeah,
any
you can lie
different.
about
You can
it.
lie
Yeah.
about it. You can say that
Around
you
the
hurt
track
yourself and you
and
got
held me
medically
dead.
took off, or you know, taking the responsibility out of their hands.
Because that's not out of the scope of what they might do there, sort of thing, you know. Like,
No, 100%. Like I know of guys that
This is
had
not
gone
your
over
best.
on ankles and
You may
things,
as well
or
pack
tried
your
to break
shit,
something
go home.
deliberately in order
Waste of my
to
time. I didn't
get
come
out of
here.
the selection
You
course.
didn't
No,
come
no way.
here.
Yeah, so
Show
but
me
then
second best.
so that
Well,
they'll be
fucking show me
medically,
something.
you know, unable to complete it, and then they don't have to
Hurry
say,
it up.
they can go home and go, well, I did an ankle,
Yeah.
or I hurt my back, or
I didn't fail. Like,
couldn't do it. I got medically, you know,
Not just him, his family,
discharged,
his
if you want
wife,
to call it that.
his kids.
You throw the bag
mum,
into the
his
context
dad.
of the human here.
They're
Like, you
relying
did from
on
the start,
you
but then
to
you
get
start
him
going
home.
into the Bag's family and stuff.
Yes.
Right now, he's not going home. He's going home in a box. Why? Because you couldn't bring him 100 metres, the length of a football field, in 7 minutes. Do you still think you have adequately prepared for this course? Yes, sir. Really?
You like saying the prepared thing. Have you adequately prepared? Is that just like a saying, or is that just what you say?
No, it's basically just getting them to think about whether, because you've got to remember, like, for mostly, if you're looking at a military unit or a police unit or anything like that, the guys are going to be going in there with the real prospect that these other men that they're training with at that time, their lives are going to be dependent on their actions. So if you can illustrate to them and get it in their mind, or at least cast some doubt, to say that, am I really up to this job? And if they've got any doubt about that, then you'll start to see that as these activities go on.
Yeah.
And that ability to quit.
Fortunately,
that, again, just opening the door to go,
get him up, get him on your shoulder, and
should
get
you
him
really
home.
be here? Think about it, because
Hurry it up.
you know, at the moment, potentially, if you can imagine, there was another 10 guys and they're all in front of
Do not
him,
forget your rifle.
and he's coming last. They would really start to grind on him. Yeah. So here's something simple. He could pick this up one-handed if I give it to him fresh. Like, Garvan's a pretty strong dude. But here we can see the effects of fatigue.
Oh,
Well,
man,
look
yeah,
at
this
your
is rough.
profile, Alan. You were a bodybuilder of some
Someone's
sort.
profiling
You pick
that.
up heavy shit
Yeah, I
all the
looked on
time.
that. Again,
Then how hard is it to pick up
looking to
this
justify to
bag?
him that he's not.
You'll get it.
He's not
Oh, that's
performing.
reassuring. Do not forget your rifle.
It's just so tricky, hey?
What
What
are
was the
you
best way to pick that
doing?
up, you reckon?
Look,
Shoulder.
it depends. Again, it depends on the strength. You know,
He's already
different
bleeding.
people have done it
He's
different
dying.
ways.
He's not
Some
going
people will
home
lean the rifle up
because
against the
you're too
bag.
lazy
Yeah.
to
They'll
prepare
then
adequately for
hold
this
the rifle,
program.
balance it against their
Oh,
leg,
yeah.
and then
Make it one thing and
yeah,
boom.
and then put it up.
That's pretty good.
You know, so there's a couple of different ways of doing
Can you
it.
muster it up? He doesn't even represent the
There's
weight
not
of
even
a true
any drive
operator.
there from like his sort of
he's
Can't
just
get him
done
on
back
our
or
shoulders.
anything.
A big, strong man like you. You've got a bracelet that says "Man Up." How about fucking listening to it and getting
Oh, that was just
something
something I
done?
don't know.
Yeah, he had it on his wrist. So that'll be another thing.
That's a target, eh?
Yeah, 100%. So in a lot of these courses, you might hear the expression "grey man" used, and what grey man refers to
We
is
want
just,
to drag him the rest of the way. Is
you
that
don't want to be
right?
the superstar out the front because they become
You want to
a
get him
target.
over. Currently,
You don't want to be the guy coming last because they become a heat seeker and generally a target as well. So staff will gravitate towards the ends. You know, the guy at the front, he's going to be a target because they want to put more pressure on him because he's obviously not in it. You know, if he's at the front, he's performing well.
Yeah.
They need to put more pressure on him in order to see what he's really made of. The guy at the back who's struggling, well, obviously, should he even be there, they're going to put pressure on him and try and get him to quit.
Yeah.
So the guys in the middle tend not to get as much heat as the guys front and back.
And then do you find that if they start spread out, they start slowly moving back together because everyone figures out what's going on?
Well, sometimes a lot of the activities are always going to be team based, and I'm not going to give too much away right now in case someone sees this before the teamwork.
This is Garvan's first session, and then there's a second
Yeah, we'll have a
group session
number of
that's
these. Yeah,
Looks like
getting organised.
probably somewhere in
in all
about 10
sorts
sessions overall. I
because
think we'll
you
probably do.
didn't prepare. And you
So
are
this is very
giving
early
up.
in the piece for him.
Your teammates need to depend on you, and currently they cannot. That is obvious. Leave him there in the orange. Well done. He's fucking dead.
And so is there something that, like, if there was a leader, right, in like a pack mentality,
What's your respirator
real
on?
deep into an exercise,
Today,
if there's a
Mr.
guy
Allen.
leading and he sort of gets knocked back or whatever, is there always a sense of there needs to be a leader within
The
the
level of
group, or
preparation
not really?
Well, they're going to see most of the time what they will
Really
do is on various
unfathomable.
activities, you know, group
having trouble
selection course
breathing?
like this,
Is that what it
they
is?
would nominate a leader
Not
for
as
a
much
particular
trouble as
activity.
he is.
Okay, right. So you just
So
boom.
yeah, because one of the criteria that they quite often
Because you were
test
too
is
slow.
leadership and teamwork and things like this. So they
You got your
will
shit together?
nominate someone and they might say, all right, Mr. Garvin, for this activity, you're team
Right.
leader, come on me,
Pick
I'll
up
give
your
you a brief.
rifle. Let's
They'll
move.
then get him to deliver the brief to the group.
Today,
and
Mr.
then,
Allen.
orchestrate and supervise the execution of the activity.
Okay.
And then they'll judge him on his ability to control and interact with the group, and then that will contribute to his score, I suppose, for leadership.
And does that mark him then for later job?
Not so much.
Possibilities or not?
Not so much. But what it does is they're looking for some degree of autonomy within the group. So, like, even if you're not a natural leader, you have to have a degree of leadership capability, because at some point
Right.
you're going to have to make decisions and
Over here,
and lead
Mr. Allen,
people.
have a look.
So they're
What
going to
you will
have
see,
minimum sort of
There are
requirements for
three
that.
walls.
Yeah.
First activity,
You
I will
can't
break
be
it down into
in the type of
simple,
work
so that
that most
even though you appear to be
units that
unable to
operate
follow
that have
instructions,
selection
I will
courses,
keep these ones as simple as
the reason that
possible.
they have them is because they're identifying a type of
Are you
operator
paying
that
attention,
is a
Mr.
little bit
Allen?
above and beyond the normal.
We have three
you know,
walls that
people
you need
within
to
that
navigate your way
organisation. So
over.
whether it be the army or whether it be
Your
the police
rifle
or
can go
whatever,
over in advance of you,
they
and
need
you can
to.
release it from
They're
here
looking
to
at qualities that
ground.
are at a higher standard than,
you cannot
than
leave
the
it on
average
this
pump.
side. Do you
So
understand?
the idea being that
Right.
they test, for things like
Make it
the
happen.
leadership, the teamwork, the decision making, and all these qualities. So
Yeah.
they're going to have minimal sort of minimum requirements on them. So although someone may not be a fantastic leader, they have to be adequate in that
If it
particular
makes you
quality
feel any
in
better,
order to
Mr.
get
Allen,
through the, training.
Be careful on
Yeah.
jumping down. I do
So you just
not
put his mask
want
on?
you to tap out
We were
because
sort of talking
you
during
broke
that, so
your
he just
ankle.
put his mask
There are
on and his
rails
breathing
on
just
the back
went
of the wall.
massive from here.
Yeah, well, his breathing's probably
You
not
understand
significantly different to what it was
Right.
before, but now you can hear it.
Yeah, you
It
can
makes
hear
you
it.
feel
It's
any
amplified.
better.
It's going to be a little tougher.
I have 50-year-old women
He's
that
lucky
can
that
get
it's not a
over
full
these
face
walls.
respirator, because it creates
And I
a
have
whole
12-year-old
other
children that
aspect
can get over these walls.
of problems.
So, a young,
limiting
fit man
vision
like yourself,
and
how old
fogging
are
the
you?
thing up, which happens consistently, and they're
29?
generally pretty ill-fitting as well. So,
Right.
Yeah.
A 29-year-old
yeah, that
young
that
fella
can
like
create
yourself
problems.
should have
And
no
here we're
trouble
just sort of
getting over
highlighting the
these
fact
walls.
that
So
you know,
why
I've
are
got
we hanging onto the side of them and looking at them?
50-year-old housewives
They will hold
who can hold
themselves up.
themselves
They
over
do
there,
not
just
need your
supposed
help.
to be young and fit, and we're just, albeit, under those same conditions, I'm not going to have
Mr.
50-year-old
Allen.
housewives getting over this,
Yeah,
under
yeah,
the same
yeah.
conditions that I've just put him through, but
We've
that's not the
reached a
point.
new
you know.
low level
Yeah.
of
Even
preparation.
he's probably thinking, yeah, 100%
You
should be
really
a
have
genius.
Yeah,
failed to
if
prepare.
I got him fresh,
Get over the
he would go
wall.
over that like with a click of the fingers. But it's the fatigue that makes simple tasks really difficult.
What's that first one, Hein?
So we've got a 6 foot, this is 7 foot, and the next one's 8 foot.
Okay, sweet. Because he jumped over that first
Make
one
it
on the first
happen.
go pretty much,
Stop
and he just went
looking
for the
at it
jump,
and
and
get
then you were just
over
like
the wall.
use the rungs at the back to step down, so
Yes.
you don't injure yourself. Because I hate for you to quit.
Yeah, I
From
don't,
an
want you
injury.
to, I don't want you to quit because you've busted an ankle, basically.
So if that thought was ever in his mind, he's gone, damn.
My
He's looking
God,
after me.
we actually
Yeah.
followed
You know,
some
in
instructions.
a
Look at that.
certain way.
We used
So
the
there's
rail.
a fine
Well
line
done.
here, because he is paying me as a client, there would be some maybe assertion that I should be
Hurry up, Mr.
encouraging
Allen.
him and I should be trying to improve his physical performance here, but you've got to put it into context.
If I told you
I'm
there was
deliberately
someone on
trying
the
to
wall
test
trying
his
to murder your mate,
boundaries
would you
here
be
and
able to
see
help
where
him?
he's at.
Would you be over this
Because the
side
psychological
feeling
benefit that
sorry
he gets
for
from
yourself?
enduring this will be far greater than the physical benefit
What do
that
you
he gets
think?
from it.
Yeah, yeah.
He can do the physical
You
stuff
get
on his
over.
own. He doesn't need me.
Okay, let's see
Yeah.
it.
He's yeah. So this is starting to really
This one,
get
yeah.
ugly from here. Like
Are you giving up,
That's what
Mr.
one
Allen?
fail, that's first fail.
yeah. So you got to remember when you put into context all
You
the
don't do
push-ups,
that.
all the
Okay.
pole carrying, and the other things that have been
shoulders
going
for
on.
sure.
So,
He's not
you're
getting
not
an
giving up. So
opportunity
does that
to
mean you're
get
just
the.
choosing to stand on this side of the wall?
Probably
because it's
still got
easier?
an enormous
Is that
amount
what
of
it is?
lactic acid built up in that shoulder region.
You're not
So
giving up.
upper body pulling
You're
strength
not
is going to be
choosing to stand
compromised,
over here.
and
So you're not prepared well enough. Or
And then I'm still trying to get
over the
him
wall. Is that
to
what you're
basically
doing?
acknowledge that his preparation isn't
Okay.
sufficient.
Yeah.
And
Make it happen.
albeit it wouldn't matter how fit he was or how well prepared he was, there would come a point that this
Your
would be
mate
raised.
is over there dying.
And it's just a
While
ploy
you are
to
hanging here, feeling sorry
undermine
for
his
yourself.
psychology. Once again, we refer to somebody else,
Yeah, your mates are over there. Yeah.
His actions have an impact on the rest of the team, or his lack of action. So, yeah, it does create an interesting psychological hurdle.
Don't give me a yes, don't give me anything.
And also, like,
Give me
that's
out that
was
wall.
that third attempt?
Yeah.
Third attempt.
Hurry
Keep
it up.
stepping back, and then you're just on him because you're trying to push you don't want him to rest. Like, you're trying to, and he's probably
Why
stepping
is
up
it-
way more. You know, he knows he's not recovered, but you keep pushing him, so he keeps going to try, and he's just digging a hole even bigger. Like,
Yeah. So the quicker he goes back to it,
Maybe I should have said
obviously he's not recovered it sufficiently to get over there. He just hasn't really, at this
Get it
point,
done,
he
let's
just hasn't
go.
dug enough to give it one good hard crack. And we'll hear him
That was a
think
long
of the
time
next
there.
one. He kind
I am
of
running
gets
out
a
of breath,
really
running
big
out of
pull
patience for
here
you,
and has a
Mr.
go and over
just
he goes.
willpower.
Yeah.
That's all you
either
know. That's
prepared
sort
or
of.
you have not. Is
There
that
we
it?
go,
Are you
there we
giving
go,
up?
there we go.
Well, get it done. It's about time.
He's breathing pretty hard now.
Yeah, it's like he was shaking a bit there.
I mean, we really start to see the fatigue creeping on this next activity.
Pick up your pole, take it to the monkey bars, then come back to this side of the rope. Hurry it up. Put it at the foot of the monkey bar.
Body language.
Right there.
Just like he didn't even understand what he said. So.
Side of the rope. Go.
Oh man.
Yeah, when you think we're, I don't know how far in are we now? We're
I don't know. This would be about 40 minutes, maybe.
Right.
35, maybe.
I need you to navigate your way
Oh,
from here.
32.
to the other end
32
of the
minutes
rope.
in.
But I didn't get all the first footage because I was.
If you
So
touch
there's
the
probably
brake
about 10
pads-
minutes of missing footage at the start there.
Okay.
This is just a
We have
constant stream
penalties.
now of footage
You understand that?
because it was so intense.
Right. Do not touch the black mats. When you tag the timber on the other end, you can put your feet down.
This is just hard.
Up
Fresh.
to that point,
Yeah, it's just,
Nothing
it's
touches
all
the
right. Like,
black
he'd be
mats.
able to do it quite comfortably.
Yeah.
You understand
if
the
he was fresh.
instructions?
But he's just,
They are
his
clear.
arms are
Good.
shot,
Make it happen.
breathing's heavy, he's got a weight vest on, respirator on. There's a number of little factors that contribute to his inability to keep himself up. And so you can't do it at arm's
you
length,
have
so that
touched the
means
black
he's got to,
mats.
that means he's got to use his arms to hold himself, his muscles, not his skeleton.
Yeah.
And that's going to put a lot of pressure on there. And here we go, we're starting.
Three. There's
Four
four.
penalties.
You've got to use your arms, Mr. Allen.
Has that dropped lower since you put it up that rope?
There's
No, I don't think
five.
so. It was
Put it
always
that
pretty
way,
Stay
tough.
off
Yeah.
those black mats. Are you giving up, Mr. Allen? There's six. 6 touches so far. 7. Are you giving up, Mr. Allen?
You're just on the
And
ground.
why are you lying on the black mats that I told you not to touch?
I don't know, sir, I just touched it.
You don't know, you're just touching them. Now we need to start again. We have so far 8 penalties. Back to the other end of the rope, Mr.
So
Allen.
we knew this was going to be ugly.
We could be here a while. 8 penalties
Just looks defeated.
over the course of 4 mats. Not only will we not touch them once, we've touched them twice. Fantastic. Let's try again. Did you prepare for this course,
And so when did
Mr.
you start
Allen?
going into
I will ask the
coaching and
question
stuff?
again. I really
'Cause
should
you've
just
been
answer
outside.
myself.
Did that
In fact,
change the
I
way you
stop
coach
asking,
people?
but
Or
I am
No,
a
not
lot of
really.
people in those
What
positions
sort
sort
of
of have to go
preparation
through
you
it
might have
to
done?
Yeah,
understand.
it didn't.
Maybe you watched some Navy SEAL movies.
So when did I get into coaching for this type of thing?
This type
I
of
just,
training.
yeah, look, I didn't really, to be honest, when I
Mr.
was
Allen,
working down at the
collecting
inn, I didn't have a lot of
military
time.
patches and things of that nature.
I didn't spend time
No.
doing running selection courses. I had interaction with the guys who were doing it. And
If you
whatnot,
are really
but
an operator, you will
it
get
was
this
something
done,
that
and you will start
I actually
making
didn't really
excuses.
like doing.
Oh, okay,
So I actually preferred running the courses. So, you know, I would teach other skill
In the
sets,
real world,
and
people
I
do not want to
enjoyed
make excuses.
teaching the,
Everybody
you know,
will touch
some of the skill sets rather than
Get off my
rather than running
mats.
selection.
Hurry it up.
But just due to my exposure to it previously
up
and
again.
my, I guess, training background,
That's
you know,
12 touches.
it comes pretty. I won't say it comes
13.
naturally to run this type of training, but I can.
Start again.
Yeah, I
Most of
can.
that
I can put myself in a
obviously-
position where I
Let's see
know
if
what
we
they're
can beat
feeling.
that
I
today.
guess.
Wouldn't that
Yeah,
be
when
an
you know what they're
achievement?
feeling, you know sort of what buttons you can push.
Yeah,
And that's
yeah.
why it's important
See
that
if we
somebody
can
has
fuck things up.
done selection
more
before they start
than
trying to
anybody
coach
else
anybody
has.
for it.
Yeah.
And that would be
Because you need
something to go
know-
home and tell
you
your
need to
mates
know what
about.
the other side of it's like.
Awesome.
100%.
So doing a course which
Chug on some donuts.
puts you in that
Watch a
position,
couple of Navy SEAL
then
movies.
really allows you to get a bit of an
Awesome.
insight as to how far can you push somebody,
Oh, there's Mr.
what are you
Allen.
looking for, what are you,
He went and did 50
how
hours
are
with
you
the Navy
going
SEAL.
to cause the pressure that you need, because there is a little bit of
Well,
there's
so
a
he
few little
says,
things that you got
let's
to pay
find
attention
out.
to. You know, you can't just run in and yell at somebody for no good reason
Yeah.
with
your
no
strategy thus far
plan in
has not been
mind.
Yeah.
effective because you are not strong enough. We have another touch.
This one just took forever.
Yeah, so we started to give up on this one pretty soon, and this is where if you don't set some
Let's go.
guidelines and some boundaries to yourself and get an idea of where he is up to, the task becomes a waste of everyone's time.
Yeah.
Because mentally he'll give up, he'll continue because
No,
he's
we're not. Stop mucking around with the rope and get across it.
You
he'll
just sit there and
continue.
you
Do
won't
not
do
touch
it.
my mat.
He may continue to try, but the efforts are going to be so
Yeah.
hopeless that it's
Yeah.
going to be pointless.
He's very silent, different technique. I think you even mentioned it. You're like, maybe you should try doing
You only
this.
need to get across the low spot, which is about another 3 metres worth.
So I wonder where his memory is on remembering those things at this point. It's probably
Congratulations,
not
Mr.
really.
Allen.
No,
Just
it's not
managed
front
to
of
touch
mind
the
right
mat
now.
20 times equal to the worst performance that I have had.
So, like, I couldn't tell you whether that was the
Well
worst performance
done.
or not. I really don't know.
Yeah, you
but it
just-
doesn't matter.
You have
Yeah.
equalled that of a 50-year-old
Yeah.
housewife who does next to no training. Congratulations.
And so I wonder if the memory changes
Excellent
in terms
preparation.
of like recall and stuff like that, because like it'd be like
Get
front of mind
across
sort of
my
thing, there's
rope.
probably some sort
Are
of
you giving up on this
thing
exercise?
about where you store information
You're
and sort
not.
of stuff, and where
Well,
it all,
I'm about to remove you
Yeah.
from this exercise
even if that's not really
because
like,
you are
the
wasting
main
my time.
point
You
of
have
the-
one
the
more
session.
opportunity.
Yeah, I don't know, really, to be honest. I don't know.
And I will
It's,
be a fair man. If you get through this without touching, I will eliminate all penalties.
So we give him a little bit of incentive.
Got it? Right. The incentive is there. Make it happen.
So as you can see by his body
limit it
language,
up,
he's,
Mr. Allen.
he's well and truly spent by now. About half
You
an hour
figure
in.
out a way to make it happen.
Starts good.
You only have a few metres to cover.
So keep reiterating how small a task it really
Make
is.
it happen, Mr.
And
Allen.
then when he fails, that compounds, like
A few
it's only
metres,
this,
that
it's
is all.
only this,
Yeah.
and yet, bang, still can't do it. And it just gives you more leverage.
He holds on one more bit here.
Do not let go of that rope, Mr.
And the
Allen.
other benefit is by hanging on so much, you're draining every last
If
bit
you
of
really
energy
want
you've
this,
got.
you'll finish this. Find another gear.
He holds it.
And we've got to be close to done.
There we
There
go.
we
It's
go.
done.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Up we get. Hurry up,
That's
Mr.
just
Allen.
physically.
So
can't do
I'd
it.
suggest that by now we start to panic a little tiny bit.
Watch him walk here.
Very lonely.
Oh yeah, man.
We're not even going
Looks
to
like he's
attempt
just gonna
these monkey
sort of
bars.
collapse.
It will be a complete waste of my time. Over here, log earl. Rifle over, you over after it.
At this end, are you planning the end of
We
the
are
session?
40 minutes in.
Or
Mr.
not
Allen.
yet?
You are looking.
Yeah, he's
Very
look,
poor.
started to read where he's up to here and whether
It will hold itself up. It does not need
whether
your
we're
help.
going to get
Get
the
over
response
it.
that we want. So I give him one last little push and see whether I'll get him to bite or whether he's
We
just
have
going to be
49 hours and
trudging
20
along for the
minutes
rest of the
left.
session.
49 hours.
My assumption was that I probably wasn't going to get him to
Over.
quit in the time
Mr.
that I had,
Allen.
Yeah.
but he would have just gone, down a couple of gears and just kept,
Yeah.
at a very lethargic pace.
Yeah.
And so we're not really going to test him because once you get into that gear where you just
Over we go,
one
Mr.
foot
Allen.
after the other, you can inevitably go for a very, very long time doing that.
Yeah.
So what I'd rather do is give him a little
Hurry it up.
intense bursts of tasks that he's got half a chance of
Get it
completing,
done.
and
Yeah.
probably would in
Stop
fresh
looking at it.
conditions,
Get over there.
and then just pull it away from him every time, you know, and that gets him to chase a bit harder, and
Failed
what ends up
again.
happening is a lot of those at the same time, you know, back after back after back,
Yeah.
that can have an effect on them.
Failed again.
Your legs were shaking pretty severely, and they're just like,
Yeah,
Sure you didn't do a rib on this? Good opportunity.
there we go again with the injury.
Tell me you got a cracked rib, you can go home.
Crack ribs, not gonna stop it.
It's not going to
you
stop
said
you.
a crack rib's not going to stop me.
What is stopping you?
Nothing.
Nothing, really. No, what stopped you on the road? Poor preparation? Not enough arm strength? What was it? Not enough willpower?
Very, very fast.
Which are all attainable things.
I didn't understand that, but I'm not concerned. I'm not really interested. I'm just interested that you're not getting the job done. We can talk about it all you like. Bottom line is, the proof is in whether you get over this or you don't. Whilst you're on this side, you're not getting it done. People on that side are dependent on you.
Yes, sir.
Well, don't let them down.
Yes, sir.
You make a choice. Are you getting it done or not? Are you going to stand there and hold it up?
It is.
Hey, we
Well
got it.
done, Mr. Allen. We've done something. I'm impressed. Pick up your rifle. Let's move. Let's move.
Next task.
Yeah. Celebrate his victory.
Yeah.
For about a second.
Yeah.
Well done. No, so again, bearing in mind that, you know, you wouldn't coach this type of activity in this fashion under, you know, if you were trying to look for a performance increase.
Yeah.
Who's calling me? Time to
Someone
go.
always calls us when we're filming.
Yeah, 100%.
Situation is
Well, it
this.
is.
You still got a house phone.
Yeah, I
That still
know.
exists.
Must be someone trying to sell something. No one
We
rings it.
have some penalties to get rid of. You understand that?
So you bring all the penalties
Kept them
back
at
here.
20. Because
Yeah.
I'm a reasonable person. And I understand that with your poor level of preparation, anything more than that will probably cause you to quit. And I don't want to be the cause of you quitting. I want you to quit of your own volition, which I'm sure is going to happen very soon. So, I think that 10 steps with this jerry can and your rifle for every penalty is an appropriate response. You are fairly tall, 6 foot-ish. That means that 2 complete laps of this track will be 200 metres, which will equate to your 20 penalties. Take your rifle, take that jerry around the track.
Yes, sir.
Every time we put it down, we're going to add 10 steps. You understand? Jog it out, let's go.
So this again, fresh.
It doesn't look heavy.
It's
but
not
it's
that
just,
hard.
Nice and
It's
quiet,
20 kilo
I'm
jerry.
impressed.
I think
know.
you talked about
My
like
God, I
his grip
think he's
depending
got
was going
something
at
right.
that point.
Yeah.
The weight wasn't the issue, it was just
Well
grip.
done, Mr. Allen. We're finally hitting our stride. It has only taken us 45 minutes of re-education for you to get something right. And we haven't put it down yet. I'm impressed. It's just a matter of
definitely slowed down.
willpower, isn't that right, Mr. Allen? Yeah, as you've been saying, you're well prepared. We have another 100 to go, providing it doesn't touch
Shoulders
the
are
ground.
folded over.
So things are starting to get a little hard to hold on to now. Again,
Hurry
he's
up,
going to get
Mr.
activities
Allen, we
like
do
this
not have
that
all day.
may persist for
Do not put
very
that
long
jerry on the
periods of
ground.
time. You know, we're talking.
If you want this, demonstrate it.
Just
It could be.
marching.
It could be hours.
No more
You know, we're doing
talk.
This for 6 hours,
Get it done.
which obviously is
Hurry up,
inevitable that
Mr.
he'll put
Allen.
it down at some point.
Yeah, yeah.
Your grip is
Could
failing.
be up a gravel-filled hill.
We've
It could
already
be any number of
disappointed
different
thus
things that go
far.
on with it.
We can only get better. Isn't that right, Mr. Allen? Do not put that jerry down. Round to the orange. Hurry it up.
It's
This
almost you
orange,
just have to
not
get
that
yourself in
orange.
sort of a state of figuring out. I feel like it comes down to just for your physicality, it's just coming down to
Leave the Jerry, bring your
the
rifle.
easiest way to do the exercise, like the strongest, most efficient way to do it without wasting
Yeah.
ridiculous amount of energy.
Yeah. Yeah,
Over this way, Mr.
to be
Doesn't
quite
even know
honest,
who's going there.
you just get into after a few days of this, you just get into a position where it really doesn't matter anymore. Doesn't matter what they ask you to do. You'll just be one foot in front of the other, and away you go.
The objects that you
It's a
saw
matter of
on the
whether you
box
last long enough
earlier,
for that.
write them down for me.
I wonder if they feed them.
I'd say they probably give them limited rations. They'd probably do something along the lines of, some frozen rat packs or something like that. Half frozen rat packs with plastic cutlery,
That's
breaks,
Jeez.
or some other cruel variation of that.
So he's got matchsticks. Done.
Yeah, so
What's that next one? Is that mug?
mug, is it mug?
Oh yeah,
Mug?
red mug.
Red mug, basically.
Blue handled scissors. Okay, so I think he's looking at the pen there.
Yeah,
So you got that wrong. What else is that? A blue.
blue marking pen. So you got the blue.
Oh, so it's
you got
weird.
the blue pen, but he's come with some blue handled scissors.
Got calculator.
Calculator,
obviously-
which is the remote, but that's
Yeah.
I'd almost take that.
And I've
And
edited it in the worst spot. That
yeah,
picture.
yeah. I think you
I
got
think
the
we see
playing
this,
card. You got the keys.
You got the keys, yeah.
Got the $20 note.
It's pretty good in like a fairly timely fashion.
Yeah.
Once you started thinking about it.
So what have we
Music player remote you wrote as well, so that's
got? Yeah. So he's got an extra one on there.
Is that it, Mr.
five
Allen?
of card, five of hearts, yeah, you got that. Just close your eyes and he's thinking about it.
Trying to think.
Photographic memory maybe.
Is that it? Index.
So it's just.
Was that a safe word or something?
No, end X just means end of exercise. So everything we say from here on isn't part of the training process. Because of the nature of the type of training it is, you do need to delineate between when it's starting and stopping,
That's the items there, man. So,
because otherwise things will end up. So this is the real me, not
You got the
not the
match,
angry
you got the
yelling me.
Yeah.
got the, what's the second one there?
Yeah, so there you go. That was his first session. I think it's at the end there, you're just talking. If you want to watch that video, there's one uploaded with no commentary, which just, I think, you and Garvin's just sort of have a chat about the exercise at the end. So if you want to watch that, jump on the no commentary one. But yeah, that was his first session.
Yeah. So all in all, I think he did pretty well. He didn't quit, which was good. He didn't start making excuses, which is another tell for people that are generally going to quit.
Yeah.
You'll see them start to make excuses pretty early in the piece. So he didn't do that, which was good as well. I don't know whether he would. I suspect that, irrespective of what they give him, he won't quit by way of completely giving up. But what will end up happening is if it really starts to grind on him, I would say that he'll slow down to the point where he's almost not moving to any degree, which will be it's kind of the way of quitting without quitting, if you get what I mean. So
Right, okay.
you'll get guys that get through things, but they just slow all the way down. Now I'm not saying that's what he's going to do, but I would perceive that based on what I saw of him in the first session, that if he was not going to complete it, or if he was going to be put in a position where he's unlikely to complete it, it would be as a result of that, just slowing down so much that I don't know what the rules are on this course, whether they will voluntarily remove them, whether they will say, hey, look, no, you're just not up to it, or whatnot. But I think this is really early stages, and he's looking very positive for him, actually. I think based on the guys that I've had through doing selection build-up training for the police or the military, he's definitely in a position where I think he's certainly mentally not going to give up easily. It's just a matter of whether he can get himself comfortable with things like the if they do put a respirator on him, wearing a respirator and controlling the breathing, managing to put in the big efforts when the big efforts are required rather than a pacing effort all the way, if that makes sense. So things like getting over the wall, getting that bag up onto your shoulder, you're better off mustering your strength, putting in the big effort so that the task then becomes easier. Rather than having 4 attempts at the wall or having 4 attempts at picking up a bag, which takes a lot of energy. You're better off giving it everything you've got. Give it that one everything you've got. Get it into a position where you're then ready to go. And then if you have to muster it up and do it again, so be it. But at least you haven't wasted, you haven't, given it a half, like maybe not even a half effort, you wouldn't call it that. It's just that you haven't really dug deep at that crucial moment. So if you can do that repeatedly, I think that's where you come out on top. And I think a lot of that's a mental, he'll pick a lot of that up by these types of activities where the tasks that we get him to do require one really big effort and then a consistent a consistent move along there, another really big effort and consistent. So if you're putting, if you're holding onto a jerry or something and you've got to move it along, you're holding, the grip goes, and then you've got to suck it in for a second, get it back up there, muster that up, hold on as long as you can and go again kind of thing. But everything's almost like maximal effort, and just can you repeat that hour after hour, day after day? And that really is going to boil down to how much does he want it. With a lot of these other selection courses, you think guys are going there to get into a particular unit, so they might be driven by that, they might be driven by other factors such as, their own personal willpower, just they don't want to fail. It could be any task. So this does a good job of really probably creating that environment in a short space of time, because what do we have? Less than an hour in total.
That's brutal.
It's a short space of time to get someone to want to quit. Like you have to put a fair bit of pressure on particularly fit people in order to get them to that position. So it was, I think it was a good start, and we'll look forward to see how he goes. The next one around is a team activity. So there'll be a few other elements there that will play on that, and although the pressure won't be as direct, there will be other pressure from external sources, and I'll be hopefully able to see how he operates in the team environment, whether he's a composed team player or whether he loses his cool, and how that plays out. We'll see in the next few weeks.
What do you think? Just one more thing. What do you think is like? Have you done much research into obviously selection in Australia? But have you looked into the brutality of different countries and what sort of selections in different countries are the hardest?
Not particularly. Look, I think they're all much of a muchness in respect that I think the Australian, the stuff that we do out here, can only speak from my experience at it. It's it's safe in respect that they're not giving us a bunch of skills to try and learn in a short space of time, putting us into extremely risky situations. By that extent, I would say that maybe in some of the, perhaps special forces in some of these foreign countries might have slightly different rules that they're playing by, and that side of it, the actual physical danger side of it might be greater. But for ours, it's more about durability. Can you endure and then perform when you're under that pressure? So as far as which one's hardest or not, I couldn't say. I think that they attract many of the same types of people, and I would say that many of the same types of people succeed in them. So they're an interesting concept, and they're certainly something that not everybody gets an opportunity to do, and they're certainly something that perhaps not everybody wants to do. That's for sure. They're not a comfortable experience, but they are a memorable one. So for Garvan, hopefully we can inoculate him a little bit to the types of pressures that he'll come up against, and then he'll be, you know, successful and pass it as he wants to. So, yeah, we'll see. But I think the activities are very similar. You know, there's a lot of teamwork activities. There's some individual activities, and they're testing many of the same qualities. So,
yeah, cool. So hopefully we'll get some footage on that, and we'll get his second session on film.
Yeah,
He's
100%.
doing it with the group. That'll be cool. We wish Garvin all the best of luck. And yeah, if you're interested in this sort of training, hit us up if you want. This isn't the gym, the daily gym goings, is it? This is just like this is a sort of special training.
Yeah, this isn't something that I advertise anywhere. It's not something that I really try and promote for a few reasons. But essentially, if there are people out there that want to undertake this type of training or want to, you know, are getting prepared for courses of this nature, then I might be able to help out. But yeah, it's not something that we do for the mainstream, and it's certainly not how we conduct our day-to-day training around the gym. You know, you got to remember that this is set up as a testing protocol, and let's not confuse that with a progressive training process. You know? So we're not trying to improve a bunch of physical qualities.
100%.
We're trying to improve a very specific performance for a specific event or a type of event. So so just bear that in mind when you see the way that I treat him. It's not how our normal gym operates.